So we got this question in response to our last post about asking for, legal information from a lawyer, essentially, providing free answers to your questions. So what I can easily say is I don't practice. I've never been licensed in the state of Alabama, unless Alabama has something completely different than I've ever heard of in the other states where I've practiced, or federal law. There's really no way to automatically assume someone's dead just by the fact of being married. So that's a good thing. So it's not automatically you don't become, the same person for legal purposes just because you get married. But what you have to make sure going forward is that you don't do anything to assume that debt, which means, signing any contract, entering into any obligation where it says, I acknowledge, or I essentially assume and take on that debt as my own. So there could be some mortgage documents, there could be some lending documents that could come your way, and you just always have to make sure that you understand what you are signing, and you just automatically don't become part of that debt. Also, what we look at going through probate, or if there's an estate and the spouse passes away, you make sure that none of the individual assets or your things go through that probate process where a creditor may otherwise have a way to attack it. So oftentimes we've seen mistakes where it is individually owned property, and for some reason the spouse thinks it has to go through probate when the other spouse passes, and then the creditor of the deceased spouse has a right to access property or get after property they wouldn't otherwise have the right to do. So that's generally our response. I thought it was a little bit easier to do with the video rather than typing a response, because it's a little bit convoluted, if you will. If you have any follow-up questions or anything that didn't make sense with that, please follow up and keep the questions coming. We love them. Thanks.